welcome to Jits Quips, the #1 live podcast for Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in the Northwest. My guests today is Adam, who's a regular blue belt training out of RGA Chester. And then we have Richard, a new guest, and Richard is also a blue belt. And training out of Resilience Gym, where we are right now. And we have Reece as well, also a new guest. Reece is blue belt. We got promoted on the same day, didn't we?
Yeah.
18th of December. And Reece trains out of Trident Martial Arts Gym in Bromborough. And then we have Sean, our most knowledgeable person here today.
You'll see.
We'll see. Purple belt, training out of the gym that he owns, Resilience Jiu Jitsu Gym, where we are right now. So thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it. And thanks for letting us use the gym.
No problem.
So the way it's going to go today is we're going to have a little chat about our passion, Jiu Jitsu. And then we're going to roll. So the first people that are going to roll is Adam and Richard, which should be fun. Around the same size and both blue belts. Never met before today, so will be an interesting one. And then after that, it's going to be Reece and Sean. So potentially a little bit of a skill disparity there, considering Sean's a purple belt and Reece is blue belt. But should be fun to see, nonetheless.
Don't be surprised if I pull guard. I'll try first, but yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this, but I think, was it your last tournament? There's a picture of Reece. How can I demonstrate it? Right, so someone's got him in a guillotine like this, and Reece has got his feet on their quads here, hands like that, manages to get out of it and win the match. So
both feet?
Both feet, mate.
Wow.
Both feet, both hands, like literally on the go with his head in a guillotine.
Were you on the ground at the time, or were these standing? Standing?
It's from standing. I went for a shoot, like a shot, missed, and I ended up with both my feet on the ground, and he shot for the gilly. And then he come up, stood up. So, yeah, I was getting gillied. So, but Mark, good job, I had Mark in the corner. He was saying hands on the hips, just screaming hips at me. And so I just like kind of hipped up, waited for his arms to tire. It was tight, but like I was uncomfortable. I wasn't going to go to sleep, so I just waited for his arms to tire. And as he kind of fell to the ground, I was waiting for him to drop. And as he did, I just sort of fell into half guard and then wrestled up from there. But yeah, that was a good picture.
Good picture that, yeah. That's mental, like. So that's how the roll's going to go.
What, me getting guillotined?
Probably. Yeah, just the matches. And then, what did I want to talk about?
Was it violence?
Violence, yes. So before we get to the roles, I've been thinking about questions I can pose to people on the podcast, interesting topics, and I thought what a question that I wanted to ask or put forward is, what was your relationship or experience or mindset towards violence through your development as a child? Because I feel like everyone's going to have their own experience with this, and in a lot of cases, arriving at practicing jiu-jitsu is going to come from some experience of violence in the past. Not all the time, but yeah. So does anything spring to mind for anyone? Richard?
I think there's always different ways of kind of looking at it, because I think if somebody from the outside looks at any kind of martial art, they'll presume it's a violent thing. But then I think when you are kind of initiated and you're within the martial art, you look at it as a way of just perfecting it, kind of the technique and getting better at that. Yeah. But in terms of how violence could bring you into something like this, like I didn't have that at all. I think it was growing up, I didn't do any kind of martial arts, and through my youngest years, through my teenage years, no martial arts. Just didn't really like traditional sports. Didn't like football. Didn't like any team sports. I just wasn't into it. And then as I gradually started to get into like my 20s, that's when I started doing like parkour and free running and more kind of solo individual things. And that led me then to a team that I used to do like events and different things with. And then from there, I then wanted to get like trained at stunts. And one of the big things was martial arts. So it's like, right, started doing martial arts. And again, it was just for the technique and the practice and the discipline in that kind of way. And it wasn't really like a violence kind of like that kind of brought me into it. But so I don't know if that's different for anybody else.
I guess that's another question as well. It's like, so what is the difference between violence and combat sport? Or is there a difference? Is when we're engaging in rolling, or when people, let's just stick to rolling, right? To Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Like personally, I think there's a difference between violence and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
I think they're two different things, aren't they? And I think the way that you, from the outside, they can look like the same thing. But like what Richard just said, I think the more you do it, it doesn't, when you're rolling with someone, if anything, the more emotion you bring to it and the more you're trying to smash someone, the less effective you are, because you need to be clear-minded when you're doing it, and it should just be about the step-by-step ways of executing the technique, because if you're going into it and you're trying to react emotionally, the same as in a real fight, with boxing or cage fighting, if you were going into it and acting upon emotion, you would be more open to making mistakes. And for me, my background with it, when I was a kid, I used to get into a lot of fights in school. I wasn't like, I thought I knew a lot and didn't know anything, but I just felt like it was always because I was the big one. People used to try and come at me and I never backed down, but it was only when I'd started doing this, maybe it was because I had underlying, like, maybe ego inside, maybe like underlying tendency to want to rumble. But we spoke about this a little bit before, didn't we? Like, I think this has given me like, being able to do this 2-3 times a week. We come and we have a go in this gym, like we give it a go. Like when you see our rolls, it might look like bands from the outside, but people are going for it. We don't like sit out any rolls, people go 100%. But doing that 3 times a week means that you're a lot more placid outside the gym, I find. So if someone cuts me up in a car, I'm not like fuming about it, because I feel like I've already let loads of anger out of anything. I'm much more serene through the week, because if there's somewhere that I want to take my anger out, or I want to, you know what I mean, give a little bit back, this is the place to do it, in an environment with this, padded walls, go as hard as you want, and they'll give it back to you. So if anything, I feel like there's having an outlet for the violence. I've never had a fight since I've started doing this, never been into a fight outside the gym before this, and if anything, doing this humbles you to make you realise that there's a lot of people that know a lot of stuff that you can't tell from the outside. So if you're just walking around thinking that you're bad, bumping into people, there's a lot of people who you could see doing this that you would never know they were fucking animals. Do you know what I mean? So doing this makes you realise that you can't just go around thinking you're a big man if you've got no background in fighting or no training whatsoever, because you'll get humbled really quick. I don't think it's like a something I've switched on and off. I think it's just a subconscious thing where like the just coming and having somewhere to, now thinking about it, I just know that I've maybe had a lot less tension built up, because you get to come in here and get it all out, and we've just been saying then, it's like,
it's not a conscious thing.
I see this as like meditation. Some people feel like going to a room and sitting with the lights off and music on maybe, and just trying to get rid of thoughts in your head as meditation. I don't necessarily see it like that, and some people who don't do jiu-jitsu might think it sounds mad, because someone 21 stone might be trying to strangle the life out of you. But for me, meditation is coming in here, freeing your mind of all the other things you worry about. Did they pay me council tax? I had a shit day at work. Or I need to go and get some milk for the kids, whatever it is. Meditation is just only thinking about the one thing that you're doing at that moment, which is trying to get into a move or trying to escape from something, trying to make sure that he can't get my right wrist. And all I'm thinking about in that moment is that single isolated thing, nothing else.
I think, BJJ is conducive to like helping enter like a flow state, right? Like a meditative flow state. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
And I find that I think people talk about it with surfing as well, because when you're surfing, you can't think about anything else. Like you got waves just carrying on, coming and coming. Same with climbing as well, because you just got to keep going, you got to keep moving.
It's because I'm reading this book at the moment that it's called Ikigai. I don't know if you guys read, but that touches on flow state as well. And it's like basically you've always got to give yourself a challenge, not something that's too hard, but not something that's too easy where you get bored as well. And like jiu-jitsu is perfect because there's like so many different levels. You can really challenge yourself, and you can, you're always learning something different, and it's always keeping you interested in it. So like it's definitely something where you can enter that flow state in. I
also think there's something to be said about getting somewhere that you can be humbled always, because I don't think it's like you can never truly reach the pinnacle, and even if you do, there's someone else somewhere else in the world that can just come and make you feel like a child. And even if I always find that the weeks where I'm doing great in work and everything's going well, I come in here and get smashed by everyone. And the weeks where I'm doing shit in work and that's stressful, to come in here and start finding success doing things, or things start clicking for me, and I just think it's good. And that's why only certain people can make it through jiu-jitsu and take on the first 6 months or whatever, because some people don't like getting smashed and some people can't be uncomfortable, be in uncomfortable positions for a long period of time. But I think there's something to be said about coming in here, giving it to someone, being in a bad position for 5 minutes and then going out into the world. Like, what else is going to be as challenging in your day as someone trying to bend your body in a way that it's not supposed to go? Literally, like, trying to hold on to that last breath to find millimetres worth of space to try and escape out of. You're not going to find that like problem solving, or you know what I mean, something might not put you in a position like that. So I think putting your body under that stress, and I also think trying to find answers and problem solving and challenges under very, very stressful situations, I think it's good for outside the gym as well.
I think like you mentioned about being humbled, that I guess it's like a mental challenge, right? And you almost have to pursue humility. So what I'm talking about is last week I had Kev on the show. So we had Will.
We've all been humbled by Kev.
The great humbler.
We had Will and Koi, who had a good match there. I'm looking forward to seeing that rematch. And then Kev, right? And for whatever reason, I rolled with Will. And Will is 10 kg lighter than me, 17-year-old, blue belt, more skilled for sure. But I rolled with him, and because I'm doing this, I was got up and smiling, happy about it. Well done, Will, and everything. Got back to the couches, and Kev was like, "That was shit. that was a really bad performance," and like I wasn't prepared to hear that. Like I think at the time I thought, that's just the way it goes, right? But then when Kev started to break it down, it was, you didn't go into it with confidence. Your confidence dwindled as Will's confidence grew, and as I was hearing it, I started to like recognize myself having like a visceral reaction to it, and which is fair enough. And I want this kind of thing on the podcast, right? I want the reality. So I was, listening to what he had to say, but after I was thinking, what was it there? What was that reaction that I had? And was I offended? And I wasn't offended. And then I was trying to put my finger on it, and I was like, oh, my feelings were getting hurt. Like at the time, like I was like, oh snap, and but that's the ego, right?
Yeah.
And that's the pride.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so my feelings were getting hurt there, but that's the ego, maybe because I wasn't ready to it, and yeah, I was humbled by it. And
it's
then
also someone that's that's a lot of levels above your level that's giving you advice on something as well, though. So even though sometimes it can come across as harsh in the way that things are said, sometimes when you don't feel like you're doing as bad, but also it's a positive thing to be critiqued by someone so many levels higher, because he sees the game in a different way.
Yeah, it's almost like sorry, mate. It's almost like an honour to have him on the show as a black belt, as such a high level performer.
You're getting a massive insight that you wouldn't maybe spot in yourself, and you could watch that role 100 times and not notice something that he can see so plainly.
It's mad because I always say, like, the problems and the things that we encounter, like with Kev, he'll have seen it, he'll have encountered it, he'll have got past it, he'll have figured out a way around it. That'd be so far back in his journey with some things because of the level and the amount of training that he's done. So whenever he talks, I'll always listen. It's like, it's worth it, and the knowledge is there's value to it every single time.
And I think what I've taken away from that is like, he's seen me do better, he said that, and that role there wasn't I basically shouldn't have done it. My mind wasn't in the right frame of mind, and what I've realized now is for Jits Quips now, I'm not gonna just roll as much as I can on the show. I'm gonna wait till till I feel good, like I'm well trained, and I'm gonna pick the matches. Like so right now I'm thinking I need a rematch with you. I need a rematch with Robbie Williams.
He means business now, because he said he's not going to roll with you. And then he's just looked at you and give you that smile then. And now he's had some tips from Kev.
Yeah. I'm going to train. I want to come back to the rematch with the right frame of mind, feeling like I've got a chance to win, right? Yeah. And not just as a show, as an extra show for the podcast, because I want to I want to demonstrate BJJ, but good BJJ. Right?
It's went the right way if he's told you something that's made you think about getting better.
I'd never pass on rounds though. Like, any opportunity you've got where you can further kind of your skill, and with different people as well. Like, I'd never like sit back from a round.
It's
like
mat time, isn't it?
Yeah, mat time is what makes a difference. Like, even when we get like different people coming into gyms who I don't recognise, like, this is why I've sat in for today. I'm like, there's new people coming, and I want to get back into that, like, that vibe of going like, just get in there, get into that training, get into competitions again, and be able to go like, it's there, the opportunity's there, just don't miss it.
Yeah, man.
Like, there's something that you could learn from that one role that you could miss out on if you just choose not to do it because you're waiting for like the right kind of fight. It's like, the more roles you do, the more chances you're going to get to pick those things up. So it's just like, I'd always take like anything that's there, even if it's somebody who's 10, 20 kg heavier than me. I'm always keen to be like, I'll throw myself in there. I'll give it a go.
Different problem to work out, isn't it?
Different
problems,
absolutely.
different body type.
Yeah, 100%.
We've all been there at the end of a session when we're absolutely goosed and someone's asked you for a roll and you're thinking, but you say don't you? You
never
also
say
think they're the roles that you get the most from, though.
Yeah, and even if you roll badly, you're knackered, you don't perform that well, perhaps you sit back, but you're still rolling and you're still learning from it, and you're sort of like humble enough to have a roll when you're at 50%.
Yeah, we touched on it before, didn't we? You've got to leave that ego at the door.
Yeah.
Like,
I also think the rounds that you feel the most tired in, they're the stuff that you learn the most from, because it's like in the UFC that you have to be a champion to get rounds 4 and 5. Everyone else only gets 3 rounds. So if you get to train for 4 and 5 rounds, even though you're going to be more tired than you would be after 3 rounds, you've earned that luxury. So if I feel like if you're tired and you can pull that sweep off when you're tired and you don't want to roll and you just want to, I can't be arsed no more, and go ahead then. And then you pull that sweep off, you can pull that off in any energy level. And you're never going to feel great in a competition. If you've got more than 1 round, you're always going to feel tired because of that adrenaline dump. So you're better getting reps in when you're at your most tired than what you are only ever feeling fresh.
Yeah, if you can do it smashed, you can do it when you're 100%. Like, when we train on a Wednesday and Alti's teaching the class for that, he'll at the end of like the class, he'll have like a burnout where he'll make us do like press ups, burpees, everything, and then be like, right, jump on the mats now as well and get a round in, and then he'll pause off again and go like, right, press ups, burpees, crunches, everything, right, get another round in, and keep hitting that right, round after round, cycle after cycle, till at the point where you physically feel like can't continue, probably going to throw up, but he will make you carry on. And he's like, now drill the tech and get the tech that we did earlier and get it right, and then try get it in the rounds as well, and then you get it fixed in your kind of system, and then when you are fresh, it just feels like that much easier. And it's like your brain's working better, your body's working better, everything's working in sync.
That's the fire test, isn't it? I think because you can do it. Like we try and do it when we're drilling, for trying to find the difference in between just drilling something at 0% resistance. And what we try and do is build up the resistance throughout the technique, because the gap from being able to do it in a technique from 0% resistance and you're doing a head and arm choke on the opponents, like lifting the arm up because they know you're going to get it, to we try and bring the resistance right up when we're drilling it, because the gap is too big from doing it at 0% resistance to a roll. And if you don't ever do it at 50%, 80% resistance, and you just drill it at zero,
take this off.
you're never going to get it like that. So you have to do the fire test, and you have to try and do it when you're tired, and you have to try and do it when your opponent's trying their hardest not to get it, because otherwise the moves, you might know all the moves, but you can't execute them if you're not tired. If you can't perform around when you're tired, you won't ever win a competition that you need to go 2-3 rounds in, because it's the adrenaline dump is too big to try and overcome. And if you only ever train and do rounds when you feel great, the amount of days you'd have off jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? It'd be mad.
That's one thing I really struggled with on my first comp was the nerves and that adrenaline dump.
It's big, isn't it?
Brutal. I knew I was going to be nervous, and it's obviously something. It's well far out of my comfort zone. It's not something I've always said. I used to box a little while ago. I was like, I want to box. I never got around to boxing. And then when I started jiu-jitsu, I was like, right, I'm going to compete at jiu-jitsu. So I'm happy I've competed, but now I want to keep going with it.
Yeah.
But I've realised going through that, getting through them nerves, doing it, when you come out of it, you're like, that's definitely just made me better.
There's nothing you can do to plan for that, though, is there? Except doing it more.
Yeah, you just got to put yourself through it. It's true what they say. Take yourself outside your comfort zone, and it does grow you as a person. Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, the nerves were a huge thing on that first comp, that adrenaline dump. But yeah, you just go in and do it anyway.
It's just so much more intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the question, isn't it? When your head's a mess, can your body still do it?
Yeah.
And that's what these drills are really there for, when you are exhausted. Because there's nothing like it. And as well, maybe there is a little voice in your head going, listen mate, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. But you've got to say, yeah, but we're fighting, here we go.
Yeah.
You know.
I think Joe Rogan says it though, doesn't he, on one of his podcasts? He just says that if he always has to push himself through the barrier, because if you only trained on the days that you felt good, and one of my mates has just started, and he said that he was like, oh, my groin's really sore, and I don't know whether to just miss Wednesday. And I was like, just wait there a sec, pulled someone over, just the next person that walked past just had a tendon, just had an operation on a tendon and wrist, been training for 9 weeks. It's just, you have these things that come up, and you train and work around them. Otherwise, if you're always, anytime you felt something wasn't 100%, if you didn't train and you missed the gym, there would be so many days that you missed, rather than just pushing through it. And now Jake, who's got the problem with his wrist, he's unstoppable with his other hand. So if anything, it's a good excuse to try and strengthen other parts of the body, rather than taking days off and, I only want to roll when I'm 100%. I think there's something to be said about digging deep, trying to work around the problem. And if you get tapped, so what? Like, this is the place to iron it out. This is the lab.
Tap it, tap off.
This is the playground. If you're doing it in a competition, fair enough. If you've got your wrists at 40%, then maybe, it might not be the right time to compete. But if you're training in the gym, your opponent knows that you've got a problem with your wrist. No one's a dickhead in here. So they're going to be... not many dickheads. So they're going to roll with you, knowing that anyway. I just think you get more from the tough rounds, if anything, to come out for outside the gym. The days you feel like shit, the days you feel sore.
That's where you're truly growing, isn't it? Definitely.
100%.
I think there's something to say about that internal kind of conflict though, where your brain and your body and that kind of fighting between the two, because there's often in rounds where, like, I can get stuck somewhere and I'm like, I'm stuck, I know I'm stuck, but then I go like, no, like, fuck it, you need to get out of this, you need to do something. You had that really quick conscious conversation, like, in your head that you need to do something, and that does happen. Then it's like, right, you need to engage your body and actually do something about it there. and it's kind of funny how the two like do work together. But yeah, it's weird that whole process of when you are in a role and it's staying conscious enough where you're present in the moment, you know what's going on, but still being able to move freely enough that you aren't just thinking like just robotic process of every single technique. Like the way I like to roll, I like to be quite free and flowing and playful with it. And if I just try to do like step, tech, I don't always feel like that works for me.
Yeah.
Like, I do that to get the technique in, and then I like to be able to then move with it and kind of go with it. But yeah, I don't like to get kind of lost in that too much. I like to still be quite free in my head, but then there's times when I then have to go like.
One of the things I heard that sort of stuck with me, and it was on a book I read about negotiation, but it just felt like it sort of worked well with this, is that sometimes you can have a goal in mind that you can be so stuck in your head about that you miss out on a better deal. So in negotiation, what some people might do is that they want X from the negotiation, but then Y would present itself, but because you're so fixated on getting that one thing, you would miss out on a better opportunity. And I think what you have to do is you have to know what you want to work towards, and you have to know the path from every position. You need to know the path to getting out or escaping or getting towards your, whatever it is, your goal, your end goal is that you want to get. But I also think there's got to be a part of you, the opportunistic part of you, that's open to being able to jump on something else and adapt to it straight away. Because, for example, again, just with the beginners class, because this is what we've been focusing a lot on in the last few weeks, I showed a lot of them the scissor sweep to one side, and then I let them drill it all 100%. Now go. Balls to the wall. Let's go. And a lot of them were trying so hard to get the scissor sweep on one side. They didn't realise that because the opponent's body weight was all over one side, the sweep the other side was well easier, because they'd already put all the momentum on one side. So although, you are focused on getting that one this way, you've literally put them 75% over their body weight's going 75%, so if you switch the sweep the other way, they've already nearly fell over. So I think sometimes it's knowing the path to victory or the path to escaping, the step-by-step path from every position. But I also think there's got to be a part of you, a conscious part of you that is open to, I've just look at this arm here, wonder what I could do with this. I think there's something to be said about that as well.
You find some of the best stuff as well. Like I really like finding weird kind of adventurous places and positions to find subs that I didn't really know were there because I haven't learned the technique for it, but I've moved myself kind of into that position. So like when I'll be trying to get out of something, sometimes I'll land myself somewhere like, I've never been here before, I like this. And then I'll try to then replicate it and try it again and try to figure it out. And then I have to go to someone who's higher belt, higher level, better at that technique. Go, oh yeah, it's this. They'll call it out by name straight away. There's always someone in the gym who knows that vocab and goes, it's this. This is how you enter into it. And then I can try then get back into it and then start working it into kind of my game a bit more. But I think, having that freedom and that movement in using the technique, but then being open to then just going somewhere different. I think that's the key to not plateauing in jiu-jitsu. I think that what you've just said, exactly what you've just said, is the difference in people who plateau and people who don't. Because I've plateaued a few times in jiu-jitsu. When I was a blue belt for like 5 years. I kept getting stuck. Didn't feel like I was getting better. I was in a different gym than here before, and I didn't train with Kev, so maybe that played a part in it. But what you're supposed to do when you're coming through and getting to blue belt is when you get into competing, you want to have like a set of moves that you're really good at from the same position, so that you can keep doing this sequence, whatever it is, to get to the same move that you can finish people off in. And your hope is that when you get to a competition, your hope is that your attack, if this armbar, is better than the defence of the armbar, and you've just got more reps at getting there. But then sometimes you can get stuck in a rut of just keep doing your own thing and sharpening that move, that you then neglect all the other stuff that you've got. And that's when I started just doing the same thing, and I was getting people with the same thing, but I just didn't find it as fun, because I was just getting people with the same Kimura, and I couldn't move past it because I couldn't not see it. Felt like it was like, anytime I got to a position, you were like, come on, So I couldn't move past it. But then it was only when I started being more playful, trying to work from a position that I wasn't very good at, and trying to become more well-versed in different aspects, that I was going past the Kimura and finding something else.
And then that was what was making me feel like I had another world of jiu-jitsu to explore again, because I wasn't just so fixated on these 3 moves that I'd sharpened really well and I was good at, to the point where I don't ever try and get the move I feel like I'm the best at now. I try and move past it to find other creative stuff, exactly what Richard's just said.
You kind of touched on it before as well, didn't you, that negotiation technique, like you're seeing that Kimura, and it's sort of like your comfort zone as well, isn't it?
It is. It's like a break glass.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with the submission. You know it's there, but to improve myself, right? Okay, let's leave that for now. Let's try this first.
It's lazy as well, because I think sometimes you can be tired in the last round, and you're there and you're like, what is the Kimura again?
You can almost not be conscious of it. It's like a path you've carved in the snow, so you're naturally falling into that path. And it's about rolling with intentions. You might be thinking, right, what have we been drilling this week? Right, I'm really bad at that, but let's see if I can hit this once, setting that goal and starting to carve more paths.
Incremental goals, you might not even get it. It could just be the sweep, it could just be the setup to it.
You started it, you learned something that didn't work from it that you need to improve on, It's lazy.
It's just laziness on my part, because I just felt like I was going for the easy option, rather than I could hold him in a Kimura on side control and I might get it, and even if I don't get it, I've still got him here for the next 2 minutes, or fuck it off, go for something totally different. Maybe I lose it, maybe he gets on top, and that's the risk you've got to take to get better.
I think in a gym, tap's a tap, but sometimes it's cheap tap, isn't it? It's
it's good. It depends why you're doing it as well. Like in a comp, obviously you want to win. So if you get a Kimura, whatever. Different. If you're in the gym, it's a martial art. Do you want to do something where you walk away and go, oh, that was nice and creative. That felt really good. I enjoyed that. And also, if someone was watching, that would have looked good. There's also all that as well.
100%. It's like this is the playground. Again, I've said this loads of times to the lads, and this is where you're supposed to get better. This is where you're supposed to throw away all of the techniques that are just there, glaringly obvious to you, because you're supposed to be trying to work on stuff consistently, because it doesn't matter if someone taps you here. No one sees it. Everyone's sound in the gym. In a competition, that goes out the window. Go back to your sequence, your guard pass, step to mount, come on, whatever it is from there, that move that you've sharpened, that should be exactly what you're going to do in a competition. You should go back to one of the lads was training for a competition and we called it the sequence, and what he done was he worked on the takedown, guard pass, submission, and we just done all of them, we just drilled all of them, because even if you're good at the armbar, and the armbar is the move you want to finish from, what's the setup to it, and what are the moves to get to that? Because if you're great at the armbar but not step into side control, you're not going to get enough reps from that position. So we were going from all of the micro positions to the armbar, and that's what we worked on, and when he was in the gym coming up to it, fair enough, but as soon as he finished, back to being playful, let's add some more stuff to the armoury, because that's what stops it becoming boring, just catching people in the same thing.
That's how you progress.
That's how you get
eventually in the long term. Okay, so I think it's about time to get to the roles. And I asked you, Sean, didn't I, about rule sets, because I think over the next few episodes I do want to clarify, because what we've been doing in the past is sort of like just roll like how you would in the gym, like what you would do in the gym. But I think if we're going to do this more, like there needs to be a set rule set. And I was thinking about maybe taking the IBJJF rule set and just putting it here, like with a few modifications to make it better for the show. I want to say I want to wear a cup, so I don't mind if you wear a cup, okay? And then we spoke about we probably shouldn't let blue belts do twisting
leg locks. I would just probably keep the blue belts leg locks at straight ankle lock. I don't think you should disregard leg locks at blue belts, even if you're competing at blue belt, because there's so many different rule sets. I think you should still be well versed, at least in the defence. So I think the threat of attack from leg locks should still be there at blue belt.
I'd say they are really important, because when I first started, I started in gi, and I didn't really train like in leg locks that much then. But then I've been doing Nogi since about mid last year, and now my game in like Nogi is so much different to that my game was in gi. and I'm doing a lot of like kind of like high stepping and trying to move like quite agile, but that's leaving my legs where I'm putting them into positions where if someone's good on leg locks, they can be grabbing them and they can come in. So I'm learning all the positions where I shouldn't put my legs and can't put my legs, more so now. And I think it's important to know where the danger is. Like
even if you're not going to attack it, you still know how to. You still should know how to defend it, even at white belt.
It's a massive part of the game, isn't it? Leg locks, and you have to if you want to engage with leg locks or be able to defend, you have to know about it, right?
The amount of different places now and different competitions that are set up and different rule sets, I think you've got to be well versed in all of it. Because for me, I didn't start doing leg locks till I got my paper belt, because none of the competitions or rule sets allowed it till paper belt onwards. And then because I didn't start it till paper belt now, and a lot of them have opened up to sub only at blue belt. And now there's a lot of people learning it from below paper belt, and I feel like I've only just started, when there's people that have trained long before, and then by the time they get to paper belt they can mix it with leg lockers. So I think it's important to know it early on.
So we'll say for this show for now,
I would do straight ankle lock at blue belts.
And then we'll say, for example, you're going to roll with blue belt, purple belt, and blue belt. Should we say then
I just do the same. I just do the same. Maybe if there was 2 purple belts rolling or whatever, or you had people who of high level on 2 brown belts, I would just maybe do all rule sets. But we'll just do. I don't mind just doing the same. I'm not going to play with it.
Just so we're clear, what are you talking on, like toe holds, heel hooks, what's your stance on that?
So,
like,
what do you mean? For this?
Yeah, for this.
So I would just say straight ankle locks. For blue belts, I would just be attacking straight ankle locks. I just think there's too much, there's a lot of room for error. So if you were doing it in a competition, maybe, then and even in the gym, I think if you're doing it at white and blue belts, I think there's so much room, unless you had practiced leg locks a lot and you were very, very well versed in a toe hold, there's more chance of you being able to get it wrong and hit someone doing it than for the purpose of this.
Straight ankle locks or nothing?
I would just say straight ankle
knee
lock.
bar? Knee bars?
Knee bar, I don't mind, it's up to you guys, you do whatever you want, but I would just say IBJJF rules is only a straight ankle lock and blue belt.
Okay. All right.
It's up to you.
I think
because Will got caught in a knee bar last week by Coy. So
I mean, I don't really attack for them. I grab for them, but I don't really attack for a lot of them. But then I know I get caught in that position with my legs. So it's just
I think maybe like using stuff like that for a sweep. But then obviously not banging it on for a sub.
But it's up to you, the ball's in your court.
I
think
I'm
it depends who you've got on.
I'll think about it as well. I think we can develop it as it goes
If you
along.
have people who come on and they were both blue belts, but their game was leg locks, then I'd be like, you can do sub only, and I'd tailor the rule set depending on the people that you were doing it with. But at blue belt, what you're trying to do is develop your game outside of that. It's only really the defence that you're probably doing at leg lock at blue belt anyway. Even for me now, I still don't spend loads and loads of time doing leg locks anyway. So if it was people who come in and they were both leg lockers, it'd be interesting to watch them have a shootout. But if that's not your game and someone tries to rip on a heel hook or a knee bar, I think there's you need to do 100 episodes and it happen once for it to be a ruiner, doesn't it, for someone?
I mean, if it was up to me, I'd be like, leg lock for me. I don't mind. But under your rules, I don't mind. For
now, maybe 10 matches, 10 episodes.
And I think you just got to weigh it up and see the way it goes. And I think it depends on the people that are on. And I'll probably do a time scale as well. When you've done like no time last time, I think a time limit just adds a little bit of spice into it sometimes, because on no time limit you don't see people trying to give it 30 seconds.
20-minute round again, like the white belt comp, Christmas white belt comp.
Sometimes leaving it open-ended just means that people aren't necessarily in a rush to try and find something.
Okay. All right. I think we'll leave it no time limit for today, but I will think about it.
I like what's the rule set? I can't remember the name of it now. Is it EBI?
Oh yeah, with the overtime.
Yeah, with the overtime, like 10-minute rounds, but you'll start in a position where someone's on your back, and then you've got to escape it, and then if they get the sub, you've got to sub them faster than they subbed you.
So they have 10 minutes. They have 10 minutes where they just have a normal round, and if no one has got to finish within that time, then it's called overtime. And what they do, say if it was me and Rich, I'd choose whether I wanted Rich to get on my back or in an armbar position, literally with the arm, where he had the arm ready to sit back, and then we go. I don't know how long the time is for that, maybe. And then if he gets me in the armbar, then it's 1-0 to Rich. And then I would start on Rich's back or in armbar position. So what they're trying to do, if there's no finish, they're trying to give the crowd a finish by starting. Or if they've got an arm, you have to do some sort of crazy escape to get out of it, don't you? But it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I really like that. There's that, you see the Nicky Rod and Big Dan Manassu.
They're just giving them, if they're just stalling or it's very, very tight, they're giving them something to, they're giving the crowd something, I think.
But it's definitely exciting.
Yeah.
So we spoke about smothering as well.
Yeah.
And so...
You love this smothering, don't you? All he wants to talk about is this smothering.
So last week Kev did it a bit with Will, with the bicep and forearm. But see, personally, I think I like that you can cover someone's nose and mouth. I don't do it right. Like I wouldn't do it in training or anything, but in a competitive setting, I feel like it could just give you that edge, just disrupt someone's breathing just enough. But what do you think? You would say no, right?
It's not that. It's usually in real sets. I think it comes down to etiquette for me. And there's loads of competitions, or even rolling now, we'd never say you don't smother. I just think it comes down to preference, doesn't it? I would never smother someone to get the choke. I would prefer, for myself, I feel like it's much more satisfying to try and find it by going under the neck. If I got it through by smothering, it's like a wrist lock. Like it's fine, totally legal, but I wouldn't go for it because it's a bit of a dirty backstreet move.
I said this on the last show as well. Like I saw, I think it was a white belt tournament in a gym in Sunderland. They were going for their blue belt. Whoever won got their blue belt, and they said that they allow smothering. They said if you're going to try and snap someone's arm, like you're allowed to put your hand over their mouth and nose. So, like but it's in the IBJJF rules. It's not allowed.
No. There's loads of places it's not allowed to smother the thing. It doesn't bother me. I don't mind it. It's more just an etiquette thing. I think the purest form of the art is to be able to get everything through technique. I mean, and I just think by trying to do it like that is a little bit.
It is what it is. It's the simplest form of stopping somebody from breathing. But then it's like then you've also got just doing that to somebody. Would that then be allowed? And it's kind of like, if you can do one, can you do the other? And it's
easier to defend that though, isn't it? Like you're defending your neck. You're not defending your nose and mouth, right? A lot of the time. So I think if someone's going for that neck choke, like you're gonna get out of it. Like you're actively working to protect your neck. Whereas a lot of the time, people are just there in mount, breathing like that, and then you're like, I'm not letting you have that.
I think it depends, isn't it? Because in a situation like what you're talking about there, that doesn't sound like they're trying to escape. So in that position, if they're just sitting there and waiting for you to make a move, then that does look like the open passage to go for, doesn't it? Whereas if you were on my back, I wouldn't be sitting there I would be actively trying to escape anyway, just the same way anyone else should be in that position. You're not going to win from that position, and if you need to do that to disrupt something, if I was going to do it, I'd do it for a second to try and disrupt or get a little bit of space under the neck, but I would never try and finish someone with a smother. I can't even remember the last time I've done it.
So I'll say for now we'll allow it, alright?
Yeah? He wants to see someone do a smother today. So get to the position. I want to see someone choke with a smother. And if you go a cape, you go a cape.
Alright, so it's going to be Richard and Adam rolling now. And on previous shows, I've asked people like, are you going to win? Or who do you think's going to win? But I was talking about this with Matt in the car, and I think that's a bit, I think what we're going to assume is, say like if it's quite a level match, we're going to assume that you're going into it thinking that you're going to win. So I think I'm going to stop asking that question. I don't know about for you guys, because that's a bit of a different ball game. But
you're trying to put a bit more spice in it, aren't you, really? But it's like...
it's a bit like,
Maybe if these two had competed before on a competition, maybe they'd come up against each other, and usually when you're doing it for long enough, if you're doing it and you're progressing at the time scale as you should, you end up seeing the same people at the same sort of shows. So if it was someone who knew had maybe come up against each other or seen each other before, maybe I'd ask that question, but not if you've never, you wouldn't ask that in an open mat, would you?
Exactly. I wouldn't go in the gym and be saying that.
Like, you're kind of betting a bit blind and you're guessing, aren't you? Like, I've not seen how you roll, you've not seen how I roll, you don't really know anything besides like what they look like size, like physicality. You're just kind of going off that.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me you could do flips though.
Yeah, and then look, do I do a flip when I roll? No. Do I do like that kind of stuff?
That's
no. It's like,
questionable.
and that's why it's.
So let's
I
talk
just
about
hope jiu-jitsu's the
attributes.
real winner.
Yeah.
So, okay, what attributes are you going to bring to the role? Are there any techniques that you've been practicing that if you hit, you're gonna be happy? Are there any staple? Are there any staple techniques? And feel free to give as much or as little information as you can.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it after. We're going to talk about the role after as well.
Yeah.
Right?
This is where I just bait my game completely down. I just tell you all the things that I am not going to do. I think the way I move, like I said before, I try to move to find openings in weird kind of positions, and like I'll try find gaps. I move quite quick.
Unorthodox.
Yeah, I'd
That's a really
say
good
that.
way to describe your...
Yeah, it would be, and I think that's because I often find in our gym and our gym members, I don't want to be on the bottom, and I have Kev going, floor is lava, get up, because I know if I get underneath somebody, most people are heavier than me. Like in our gym, we've got a lot of big guys, so I try to stay up, I try to be the one that's on top and trying to get the passes, and try to work my game that way. And then if I end up on the bottom, and then thinking, right, I need to turn this to my advantage and try find quick opportunities and quick counters and that kind of thing. That's, I'd say, kind of how I'm rolling at the moment, but I'm always open to kind of change that style, and I think that's a big thing with jiu-jitsu. Like me telling you this now could come up against you in this role, and it might be like, none of that is going to work, throw it all out the window, and then have to then adapt, like just on the fly. But yeah, I'd say that's kind of me at the moment.
That's the way it goes. Yeah, I feel you, mate. Yeah, you don't want to be on the bottom when you're one of my size as well. Yeah, I feel that. I like to. I'm not a big fan of like keeping the heavy pressure, like you say. I enjoy the rolls where I'm keeping it a bit lighter, allowing the opponent to move, and then sort of moving with them to find something. It creates a bit of space, doesn't it? I think, today, wrestling is something that I've only is a much newer to my game, and something that I need to improve on a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes today. See if I can use any new techniques. But yeah, we'll keep it flowing. We'll keep attacking submissions, and it sounds like it's going to be a dynamic role.
Yeah.
That's what sounds of it.
I think so too. How heavy are you guys?
I'm 70.
73 at the moment. I tend to fluctuate a lot though. I can go up and down like really, really quickly. Like in a day, probably up and down a few kilos. It's mad.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's get warm.
You leading the warm-up?
All right, guys. So we have Adam and Richard in their first role. Adam representing RGA, training out of RJ Chester. Richard training out of Resilience Jiu Jitsu gym. Sub only, no time limit. Touch and go, boys. Okay, so starting off with hand fighting, as usual.
I wonder if Adam's going to go for his shots or anything after talking about his wrestling, wanting to wrestle a bit.
So Richard had a bit of an arm drag grip before, let it go. Richard on the inside necktie. Both guys going for trips at the moment. Both quite well matched in weight. Oh, Richard's got a single leg, got the takedown. Now working to pass that guard. Adam's on the leg. Going for a straight ankle lock. Richard's defending. So we've got a leg entanglement.
So hard you do, you just want to like say, don't you?
It's so hard not to show it.
Yeah, don't do it, let him go. Tap, tap, tap.
Nice.
Well done, Adam. Nice one, guys. So winner by straight ankle lock, Adam. Nice.
Well, lads.
Nice that, well in, boys, lovely.
Nice one, gents.
Nice work.
Yeah, definitely going for some more if you want some more as well to stay up.
All right. Yeah, thanks for rolling for the show, gents.
You're welcome.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So the winner by straight ankle lock was Adam. How do you feel about your performance?
I'm really pleased. Yeah, it's not a submission I hit that often. I was also relieved to get it because it's one of those situations where I've got the leg and belly down. If this doesn't work, I'm lying on the floor belly down. So not a good place to be at the start of the round. Yeah, so I was pleased because when we started, we were on the feet. Like I said, my wrestling definitely needs work. Felt that then. And I was getting quite nervous when we were on the feet because I could feel that you were definitely looking for something. Once you got that leg, I was a little bit happy to go to the ground and just get started on some jiu-jitsu. Found single leg X, got the sweep, and yeah, pleased that I could get the finish.
Like when you say you weren't looking forward to kind of the whole stand-up side of it, I'm the same. So my stand-up's still pretty weak, and I'm trying to develop it and trying to get more comfortable, like going from standing to going down, taking them down, coming back in a good controlled way where I can get into a good position. I think I've just been kind of pushed to be like, make the like aggressive kind of attack and assault on it. Don't be laid back and don't be passive. Like Kev always says, just keep pushing forward. So I tried to just keep doing that.
Yeah.
I think I got a lucky kind of loop on your leg and then just tried to drive with that to get you down, and then from there, like I said before, I think we before we started filming and talking, a lot of my game, it can be stepping my legs up and moving around, and I think that was my biggest downfall. I brought that leg up, put it right into danger, and you were like, yep, put it right on and put it away clean. It was good. Quick. That's why I want another roll. I feel like it was too quick.
It's a good mindset that to have though with the wrestling, because you were very much pushing forward in that, and you said that maybe you weren't confident, but I definitely got the impression that you were more confident than me, and I think that's a big thing in wrestling. I was definitely hesitating my moves and my movements because I wasn't confident in my head. So would you say you're faking it a little bit by pushing forward?
Quite, yeah, because I'd say in terms of like my stand-up game, I've not drilled as much as I should be doing. Definitely need to drill more, kind of do fake it quite a lot, and that is just by pushing forward and constantly trying to work, fighting the grips, and then getting in closer, and then trying to be working for stuff that I do know. And then the things that I do know, I then think, right, try hit them, see if they work, and then if they don't, I'm kind of left a bit like, right, what's next? But I'm disappointed I didn't get to do more stuff on the ground because that leg was then straight there. I think the danger of leg locks is something that I find I encounter a lot. And that's where it's something that I need to constantly be improving. Like I was talking to one of the lads earlier today, and he's out at the moment with a knee injury, like Ellis. And he was saying, there's a pass I do where I leave my leg in and I back step. And he said, you just got to be so careful with that because it leaves your knee with a lot of weight, a lot of pressure on it, a lot of tension as well. And I need to watch those positions and be more conscious, I think. But with like the rule set and things that we were saying before, where straight ankle locks, I should have just been conscious that is how I was going to get tapped, and
said it so many times.
Bang!
Like put it out there to manifested that.
I know. It's
not enough smothering for me. There could have been so much more. I was like, come on, someone smother someone.
Yeah, but I feel like we just had like a bit of a wrestle, and then you straight into the tap. I kind of want to do more as well. If we do get transfer round two, I'd love a round two.
We'll have a roll.
We'll definitely on another show.
Yeah,
for sure.
awesome.
I mean, afterwards, of course, like whatever you want. But would you guys be up for a rematch on a later show? Because like you said, we only saw like basically you got the single leg takedown. He got into single leg X, and then it was just on for the sub. So, BJJ for you, isn't it?
Well, I'm glad I didn't allow you to play your game.
Yeah.
But I would like to see it when we're not competitive.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well. I don't want to play down the fact that you got that, you took the control, you got that tap. Like, I'm not saying by any means is there any downplay on that. You took it, controlled it.
I feel like with you guys, it could be one of them where if you are rolling regularly, it could be a bit of a back and forth thing, and you capitalised on an opportunity that was there for you, and because it's a competitive role, you're like, right, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity right now. I don't know, of course, we've only seen you roll.
I think because you went for the straight ankle lock, and because you knew that you'd been exposed, you knew that you had to take that and took it.
Yeah.
I think that was what gave you a bit more bite into the straight ankle lock, is because you knew the mischief of losing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what you got to do though as well. That's what you got to take them chances, haven't you? Because it's risk reward, isn't it?
Yeah. My concern kind of going into it as well was, like, you're a bit taller, and I thought you're going to have that range and that reach that you're probably going to be able to catch me in different ways where I'm not going to be able to kind of play the way I'd normally play. Because I find that with some of the taller guys in our gym that little extra tallness kind of, it cancels out some of the stuff that I do, and I can't do it. So I thought if I can engage with you and keep engaged and keep you at that range that I'm comfortable with and keep pressuring you, that it might work. But then didn't get that to the ground, got it in the top part. I was like, yeah, kind of got that range right, but then coming to the ground again, the range was like, yeah, you put it away quite quickly, so it didn't matter. But yeah, I want another one. 100%.
Yeah, congratulations again, both of you guys,
well done,
for engaging in the role. It's a good thing, competitive role, and you met together for the first time, so it's good fun.
Yeah.
I was just sorry.
Well, normally in these roles, I end up losing, but I end up losing in a good way, where there's been a lot of drama and there's a lot of escapes throughout. So not playing up to that role today.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Definitive, quick win.
Maybe that's what spurred you on to take the victory today.
Just get it over.
You just got that build up taken out on you now.
Like we were talking about, someone cut me up as well in traffic on the way here.
That's what it is.
There's stewing for the last hour.
I was just saying before as well, one of the big things, like when you're competing and doing other stuff, you don't really have like the conversation that we've had before. We've had like a bit of chat, bit of backward and forward, and we've had all of that. You just come onto a mat with someone you never know, you've never seen before. Like, yeah, we didn't really know each other's games, but you've still kind of got a little bit of backward and forward, and you go into it in a slightly different mindset. I think when it's a comp, you are literally just like, it's going to be win or lose, just go straight in at them. But then when you kind of like have been talking to someone for a little bit before, you kind of go into it slightly more playfully and slightly more like just kind of feeling for stuff and going for things. And yeah, I think that's one of the big things for me, because I know Brewer says it when I'm rolling sometimes, that right, stop messing around or stop playing. I need to just go, right, kill switch kind of engaged and just go like more in and more aggressively trying to push the game that I know I'm good at. I think that's something that I need to work on, definitely.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Sometimes it's hard for me to mitigate, how hard to go. Yeah. I think I had a bit of that with Will last week, because he's smaller than me, because he's a young lad, and he's my mate, and we haven't had much. Possibly not. But I don't know if there was a bit of that, like, I don't want to hurt someone. I don't want to go so hard where I'm like spazzing and hurting someone. But then there's a fine line between like
being assertive, isn't it?
Being assertive, yeah. I guess you get better with.
I think you've got to know where the line is. And for me, maybe because I've been doing it a bit longer, what I've been found to have done with certain people is start off too passive. And then end up being in a bad position because I let someone who I know that I'm better than get to a position on me where then it's too hard to come out of. And this was with one of my best mates, Joe. And for ages we had this forwards and backwards for ages and ages and ages. And I used to just let him work, and do you know what I mean? Trying to make him better. And then one day he got me in an armbar, and I was like, that was it then. I don't try and smash anyone in the gym. except for Joe. Because we're best mates and we don't fight, you know what I mean? But in here, this is when you have to have that switch, and there's certain people that you know that if you're at a certain level, you've also got a reputation to uphold. So you can't let certain people get too far in before you turn a switch on, because sometimes if someone's good and you can get to a position, especially if it's their position, it's much harder to get out of that than start at a neutral. It's like you're going from, instead of starting at 0, sometimes just because of laziness or, you know, being too passive, you can be starting at -2, -3, and then getting from -3 to 10 is much harder than if you go 0 and then you come out the blocks.
Yeah, go straight to 1.
So I've found now, even more so, that I'm a lot more switched on in the rolls than I was with some of my mates, because I just felt like I was letting them work, and then ended up being in tail with someone who had, you know what I mean, should never have been getting in a position like that again. So it's, you've got to be able to turn that switch on and off.
Yeah.
You need to know that in the rolls you can be playful, but you also need to know that if you're at a certain belt or you've been training for a certain number of years, you've also got a reputation to uphold, and you've got to keep people on the ladder below you.
I guess as well, like, you know, you're going to get better at that with experience. Like the more experienced you become, the more experience you've got in switching it on when you need to, or not letting people get in too much of a dominant position on you. So
it's different though, because sometimes if you're trying to work on yourself, sometimes you might come in and say, I'm just going to work back defence today, and you sort of let people keep getting you in back defence to be able to work out of back, or you get it. Sometimes I'll actively keep trying to go to turtle because I'm trying to work my turtle escape. So I think there's a difference where being playful and working specific moves, I'm just going to go for arm bars today and keep doing that, or if you being lazy and just starting off slow and then being in a position and being like, shit, now this is too far now. So I think you need to determine when you turn up, what are you going to be doing? Are you trying to get better? Don't just go into a role on autopilot. That's the biggest thing for me about getting better. If you want to get better, have a focus for each training session. What are you going to do today? Are you trying to work a move that you're not as good at? Are you trying to work a position that you don't really work? Are you trying to work on escapes? Just constantly keep working on escapes. You shouldn't really ever just come in and just be reactive, just react on what they're trying to do, because all you're doing is you're not getting better after that session. So determine when you turn up. What are your plans for the session?
Roll with meaning.
Roll with a purpose. Every single session.
Yeah.
So you come away like, right, well, I kept going from turtle, but there was 3 escapes I wanted to work from turtle, and I got 2 of them today. Doesn't matter if you end up in defensive position, doesn't matter if you get tapped, if you work on what you were trying to work on. But if you just start in half guard because you just can't really be asked today and you're thinking about other stuff, and then they get you in a bad position and you're like, shit, I need to work from here. If anything, you've got worse than what you was yesterday rather than better.
Yeah.
You should come in and know what you're wanting to do.
I had to have a word with myself at one point. It was similar to what you were saying about doing the same, naturally falling into that same path and doing the same things. And I'd be against beginners, you know, white belts, and, you know, I'd pass the guard, get to mount and submit them. I had to say, like, why am I doing that? Wouldn't it be much more beneficial for both of us if I, you know, play with them a little bit, they get to side control or mount, and then I go from there. And then they're getting some work, I'm then practicing escape, sweep, pass guard, and the full sequence then, and actually getting the maximum I can out of a roll with the beginner.
One thing that I heard a while ago on a podcast, and I thought it was really interesting way of thinking of it. It was a black belt that was talking about it, and what he said was to feel like he gets the most out of his sessions and the people who he rolls with is if he's rolling with someone who is a white belt, he'll then go for the moves he feel like he is his weakest at, essentially his own moves that he's like, I'm a white belt at, you know, a single leg, or start. You two were saying about wrestling, my wrestling's not great. I'd probably say that my wrestling is like white belt standard, so if you're doing it with a white belt, you would match them to your level. If I start doing the moves that are my best moves that I would do on a purple belt in a competition, on a white belt, then there's a big difference in skill disparity there, isn't he? So what he was saying is that if he rolls with a blue belt, he'll try and work the moves that he feels like he's a blue belt skill level at, purple belt, brown and black. So if he's going against a black belt, he'll use all his best moves. But if you're rolling with someone who's day one, you would roll with whatever you think is your worst moves, and they're getting a better roll out of it because you're not as great on them moves that you're working at. But also, they're getting a better roll and you're getting a better roll because you're sharpening the moves against the ideal person by doing it with someone who's at the same
like
sort
that.
of skill level. So he was saying that he meets the person who he's rolling with.
You're giving yourself a better chance to hit the moves when you're not good
If
at
you're
them.
doing something that you know you're shite at and you can do it from a white belt level, you're literally building it up from the bottom brick, aren't you? And that's the same way that you should go into it with when I'm going into it with some of these skill blue belts that I'm going in with, and I'm going in like, oh, I'll just be playful. I'm not meeting him at his level. That's disrespectful to him, because I'm not going into it and treating him at the level that he's at by being in and being lazy, and fair play to him for jumping on it, and that's what I told him to do. If he sees it on anyone, to go for it, go for the kill switch. So that's what I've tried to do now. I try and match the person who I'm rolling with at their skill level for the skills that I've got, to try and develop myself and be a better role for them.
Not in this match.
Not in this match. Smother Central. All aboard the Smother Express.
So, okay, let's move on to your guys' role. All right. So we've got Reece, who's fairly recently promoted blue belt, competitor.
Yep. When I can.
Pardon?
When I can.
When you can.
When I can, yeah.
And then we've got Sean, experienced purple belt. So in this case, I'm going to put it out there. We'd expect you to win, Sean, right?
Yeah.
And
Let's see what happens.
we're all aware of. We'll see what happens. Anything can happen.
Bright
of
lights.
course, but-
Under the bright lights.
yeah. But we all are aware that there's levels to the game, right? And you're a purple belt under Kev as well.
Yeah.
So let's talk about attributes, okay? Let's go with you, Reece. How are you going to approach this match?
Honestly, just like we're saying then, there's levels. We're expecting Sean to win, but I'm just going to try and make a good account of myself and make it as difficult for him as I can. I'm not going to give anything easy.
I like that.
No way. Yeah, I'm just going to survive as long as I can, and if I see something I can catch, then I'll take it. So that's all I can go with, really. Yeah, I'll just see how it goes from there.
The best way to be, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you ever caught a purple belt?
Yeah, I've caught purples in the past. Not often. I couldn't really pinpoint one off the top of my head now, but...
Go on, name drop.
this is the moment.
So you're gonna try and make it as hard for him as possible.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, it's survival. If I can just give a good account of myself here, then I'll be happy with that. And if I get a sub, that's a bonus. So we'll see how it goes.
And then how are you going to approach this?
One of the things that me and Kev have been working on for a long time was I always felt like Jiu Jitsu was about being the best in every position, so you should be able to, by the time you get to like brown and black belts, from every position you should be able to work from. And then it was after having like a long conversation with Kev, after wanting to work leg locks, and he just said that he felt like he'd wasted loads of time working leg locks because it's about getting on top and staying on top. Because if nothing happens, the person on top is the one who wins. And also, if your leg lock doesn't come off, you're on the bottom. It always favours the person on top, basically. So I'd always been top pressure type of guy anyway, and then since then it's made me be a bit more clinical, from being on top, finding the top, making sure that I can find different ways of going, but not like the same like usual heavyweight that you'd see where it's like just getting on top and trying to stay there. I like to have like constant attacks from different positions, because there's a difference with being on top, and there's people who we've got up and who just get on top and stay on top. I just like to, it makes things easier when you're just constantly throwing attacks out, so things can come, like what we spoke about earlier with the negotiation thing, things can just land when you're throwing other stuff out. So I like to keep the just different attacks from different angles, try and make something present itself.
Are you going for the sub as quickly as possible?
No.
No?
No. Did you not like the sound of that? For me, I say this to some of the new lads as well. I see it as like, you're playing Tekken or something like that. Everyone's got like an energy bar.
Yeah.
So when you see people who come out flying out the blocks and try and go for this big mad takedown straight away, or snap someone down straight away, that's not how it works. You're much more likely to get the submission at the end of it when you've drained their energy bar down. So I would rather, don't get me wrong, if something's there, I'll take it, do you know what I mean? But I also feel like Jiu-Jitsu executed perfectly should be every move should take something out of your opponent. If you're doing a guard pass, you can do a guard pass that could take 10-15% of their energy bar down by executing it properly, doing it right, so that by the time the submission presents itself, they sort of want you to take the submission to finish it.
Yeah.
Some people in our gym, like sometimes with Kev, or there's other people, Alty's the same. By the time he gets to the head and arm, you're like, just have it done with. Just get it over with, because it shouldn't just be the end bit, it should be the whole thing that's excruciating if you're doing it right, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I like to try and...
I'm
not trying to say that I'm going to try and do that with you, but I feel like that's jiu-jitsu.
That's the game.
Yeah. I feel like the game, and that's why I try and teach people.
That's a well played.
If you play it right,
about chess.
Yeah.
There's fool's mate, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like the development, the mid game, then the end game.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I feel like I'm not. This isn't me saying, I'm going to do all this. I'm just trying to explain jiu-jitsu. I feel like in the most effective way. If you get like an armbar in the first 10 seconds, I just think it's like that. Maybe that was an off chance.
Like a straight ankle. Maybe
just
after you get taken down.
They've been wrestling it out, don't you know what I mean? And Rich gives that. So I just think it's that was different. But I mean, like if it's Gordon Ryan is the perfect example.
Yeah.
You never say Gordon Ryan got lucky in any of his matches. He fucking gets people, pulverises them to within a point where they want to give up.
It's miserable.
Because they've been made miserable for the whole time. And there's no question of whether he won that. And if he didn't get the finish, he was up 30-0 on points.
But you could argue, though, if somebody's game is that way and they've developed the game to be able to just burst an attack really, really fast and finish someone really, really fast, and that's better than someone else's game, and it's better than someone the way that they do jiu-jitsu, like, you could argue that they are still, like, fundamentally better in that way. If their game has been developed to that way, to be better, to be able to finish quicker.
I suppose different people's styles are different, aren't they? And maybe if you're smaller or faster and speed is your attribute, then yeah, if you're mismatched, then you might have a better chance of getting someone that's fast like and doing it like that. I'm not trying to take anything away from people who can get like submissions quick. I just think there's a reason why the moves have got 20 steps. And it's to make sure that each step of the way is you tightening the screw and tightening the screw and tightening the screw, so that at the very end, it's not just the squeeze at the end that finishes them. It's the whole way that it's tightened through, because when you get towards a move like a head and arm choke from someone who's really good, they only have to put the hands together for it to be unbelievable squeeze.
Your jiu-jitsu style of using analogies is a screw, whereas some people's approach, a hammer with a nail, just fast and hard approach. Yours is
I just think you're supposed to, you're just meant to keep tightening and tightening the screw until at the point, at the end, at the very, very end of the move, you only need to get your hands together for it to be on, because you've tightened everything up along the way.
I think what you're saying is you're just trying to remove any questionability out of that role.
Yeah.
Like, I understand what you're saying. If you grab something quick, it could have been because of a mistake of your opponent, or you know, you landed something lucky. You don't want that. You don't want that to be the analysis of your role. You want to be, right, that was a good performance. That I don't,
convincing win.
I understand
But I do is definitely, like we've just been saying about one of my friends in a role. He was 8 seconds away from winning a gold at a blue belt competition. He'd only just been promoted blue belt 2 weeks before, and it was because he was in close guard. He stepped his leg up, and someone grabbed his leg and ripped a straight ankle lock on. And in that moment, that was the only way that he could win that match. Yeah. So he had to take that, and that was the only way that he could have got that win. And the one that you've just got then, because of the position that you were in, and it was belly down, you had to rip it on and get it that way. That's got no problem with that. That was the way that move should have been executed. Yeah. But in the certain moves,
like 100 times out of 90, or like 90 times out of 100, like you might only get that, have to rip something on quick 10 times out of 100, right? The other 90 times you're going to have to use your skill.
Also, because it's being ripped on, it's not in a perfect position. So a lot of times when you see people try and rip stuff on, it can be ripped out as well. So all it takes is, because if they get it on quick, and you know it's going on quick, the same speed coming out can make it pop out. If you try and rip a guillotine on, then if you haven't got it set up and perfectly squozing, then if you try and rip it on, they can just pop their head out.
And the
because
higher
you're
level you
just
get
holding
to,
on.
the less likely it's going to happen.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's why the people like Gordon Ryan have finished the moves. When they turn the screw, there's no way out, because each micro position has been executed perfectly to make sure that there's no way out. He shuts, he closes 3 doors and opens the 4th one, and that's the one that his move is sitting behind.
We're hoping to get Gordon Ryan on the show
Next week,
in the future.
when he sees this one, when he sees this, he'll book him for next week, won't he?
It could be any time. We're just
Scheduling.
yeah, exactly.
Just trying to work out time frames. I get it.
Yeah, it will happen.
I'll roll with him.
Yeah, you will. All right, okay.
Okay, bring him to this gym. Well, I don't care. I'll get people. Bring him here.
Got it on, yeah?
All right, guys, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get warm. Okay, so now we have Sean and Reece, purple belt versus blue belt. They go straight into it. They don't want to fuck about. Hand fighting.
So I found myself stuck in a lot of stand-up with Sean
Strong
Brewer at the
ties from
moment. Yeah. At the moment, he works me a lot in the stand-up a lot before he comes down. He makes sure when he goes down, he tries to stay on top.
Reece has got a leg.
Yeah.
Sean reverses, ends up on top.
Yeah.
Sean's not going to... Oh, Reece is almost on the back there. Reece is on top, reverse.
Got the underhook in that situation. I think
Yeah.
bailed him out.
I think this is where Sean has maybe got to work from a -1 here, where he didn't want to be. And Reece is dangerous. He's a strong boy. He's heavy.
Yeah.
Nice back take there from Reece.
Sean's got to be working his escapes now. Got to
Yeah.
show that.
And lovely.
Yeah.
Picks his timing. Faces up into close guard. Still got work to do.
Yeah. Sean's game is quite a slow burner, and he'll start putting pressure on once he gets up on top.
Reece is doing what he said. He's making it
Patient here.
hard for him. Oh, that's like a spine cruncher, isn't it? That's not a nice
Uncomfortable
position to be in. Sean
Go for
working,
butterfly sweep.
It's almost.
Sean working for the pass. Reece.
He's got his elbow. He's using his left elbow as a base. Well, he was. So, making that sweep difficult.
Sounds like Reece is breathing heavy.
Yeah, Brewer's got good
Just
top
dealt with
pressure.
One
pressure.
butterfly hook. Now it's turning the screw there, like he was saying.
And that's
on
how
the
he'll do.
punch choke.
I think was he going, it's Nogi Ezekiel, wasn't it,
Yeah.
kind of there?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Reece is
Just
passed.
putting pressure on.
Had to
legs.
move there, Reece. Well done. Into side.
This is a battle of two
Yeah,
strong
yeah.
boys.
Great
really.
roll, lads.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
It could turn into a bit of a gas tank battle. And
Reece isolating an arm there.
Ooh. Armbar attempt from the side control.
he could switch it to a bit of a Kimura. Nope. Nah.
Into mount. Beautiful.
Yeah. Brewer's got strong arms, so it is difficult to isolate his arms and work them individually.
Sean turning up.
Yeah, seems happy to show the back there.
Second time in this position.
Yeah.
Let's see what Reece can do.
I wonder if we're going to get to see a smother attempt.
Resetting. Give it a chance.
I think we'll leave them to it.
Okay.
We'll just let them incorporate the wall into the roll. I think this is a little less one-sided than I was expecting.
It's a battle.
It's a battle.
Sean done so well there.
Yeah.
To turn over.
Yeah.
Guard passing now. Back and forth between these two guys. Great to watch.
It's good to watch. This is where Sean wants to be now.
Oh, is this the Kimura? It's this famous Kimura.
Locking up a Kimura grip. Reece doesn't want to let him have
It's
it.
a really good technique where he goes for a Kimura and switches it to a straight arm. If they do start to try to wiggle that arm out, he was actually showing it me earlier today. I think we did just see it, but
Reece is on the back again.
didn't get the catch.
Well, we've seen Sean escape from this position.
Yeah, both gentlemen have showed incredible escapes.
Yeah.
It's been back and forth.
Literally being back and forth. Reece sees the neck, goes underneath.
Both people breathing pretty hard right now.
Sean having to go 2-on-1 on the neck, on the choking arm.
Bit of a standoff there.
So now I think the question is who's wearing who out, right? Sean taking deep breaths.
It's got that body triangle, he's not cinched it completely, but it's there. It's going to make it harder.
That no matter what happens, Reece has definitely given a good account of himself.
I just saw a smother attempt there. The first one, yeah.
Tap. Reece gets the tap.
Good work, guys.
Get yourself sorted, gents. Take a sec. All right. Thanks for rolling. Upset on the show. This is brilliant. Like,
Smash
this
me.
is
Fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play.
yeah.
I'd like put it on me big time there. Fair play. Yeah, smash me head then.
I wouldn't say I smashed him. I wouldn't go that far. It was a tough roll. You're close a couple of times there. I just think I was patient with him and just managed to find a little gap. And
That top pressure though, lad, when you get into like the back or in mount, it was like crazy top pressure. Yeah, use that, defo.
No, that's one thing I do try to work on, the top pressure, but it's one thing I struggle against as well. But I think because I struggle against it,
Because you don't play it that often, because you're always on top.
Well, funny enough, I don't know. You know, like I was just saying to Adam before, a lot of the time when I roll, I almost end up into the bottom or half guard. I quite enjoy my half guard, and then I work from sweeps from there.
Yeah.
I don't try to fight to get to top position. I try to sweep to top position. You know what I mean?
You should try and get to top position like, straight away.
Yeah, I know. I should do really, especially because I'm
That's what I was doing for ages, was just trying to work from half guard, but then you're spending more time trying to sweep when you should just be standing up, passing the guard, getting straight to mount.
Yeah.
And then killing them from there.
How did it go to the ground?
I think
Single leg attempt.
I think you went for a single leg, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I went for I think I had a half Nelson. Sometimes when people try and get me leg from there, because I know they're trying to pull it that way, sometimes I can pull them over, and then when they pull me down, I end up on top of them. But then I think it went like one too far, because I think as I was coming on top of you,
you were dead strong.
Into it.
Yeah. You had a good strong collar tie. Like I was struggling with that.
Yeah.
I kept I was kind of trying to brush you off of me to get away from the collar tie, and then when I was trying to come in for the collar tie myself, you'd done a dead good job defending it.
Sometimes when you...
So I went for the single, and then the other day Nath done a class of defending the single leg, funny enough, when my leg ends up in between yours.
Yeah.
So I kind of tried to work for that hook,
Yeah.
and when you had the half Nelson, I leant back, and then we ended up in, was it like kind of half guard, wasn't it, I think?
I ended up on top, but it was like, but I wasn't fully flat. I think you were like halfway out. But like, because I'm not great at wrestling as well, and I always got told that like being tall, you shouldn't really be going in for shots, like to go from such a high point to such a low point.
I can agree on that, like it's tough.
It's risky, so that's why I always try and play with the collar tie and pull them down, because then by frustrating them, that makes them want to come in and try and shoot, and it's easier to defend the shot.
Which is what I've done, pretty much.
It's easier to defend the shot and get to a dominant position than shoot yourself, because it's much easier to end up, if someone shoots, to end up getting sprawled on or end up in a bad position from you shooting. You got the single leg quite well and held onto it tight, where like a lot of people end up losing the shot by shooting in and then end up in tail for the whole round, do you know what I mean?
Do you know what though, that kind of comes, you know, before the rolls we were talking about, well, you were really elaborating on the fact of when you go to classes you need to work on a single thing, go there with an idea, and there was for a long time I was shooting for single legs, double legs, and every time I shot for a single or double, I'd end up in a guillotine, all the time. It's what happened in the comp. I'd always end up in a guillotine, so just really kind of tried to focus on getting my head on the inside rather than the outside.
Risky move though, but that's why a lot of times when we're doing wrestling and all that, we don't really do single and double leg shots. We try and work on collar ties, arm drags. Just like, all you need to do is get them off balance. You don't need to necessarily pick up a double leg to take someone down. All it takes is a stumble. Just takes a little stumble for you to end up getting a... Kev does loads of body lock, so we'd end up getting a body lock and then you can take them down from behind. So we do loads of wrestling without single or double legs, and I just think there's so many different openings from that. And again, like what I was saying before with the like working people down, you know, you might not like drop someone with the first like collar tie, but what you might do is if you're standing up wrestling for 2-3 minutes and they're starting to get frustrated, if you grab one and pull it down, you could end up getting them to stumble and put one hand on the mat and work from there, because you've ended up tiring them out. You're not going to, people come out and go fuck off and try and drop someone with the very first collar tie
as well, aren't they? Like you're pulling someone
it's
down,
horrible,
your
frustrating
reaction to come
it's
up.
Just frustrating, and loads of people pull it down, and when you go like that then they shoot for the double leg because you've gone up. So it's harder to go down, but it's just about like, it's just the misdirection thing again, isn't it? And it's just the pull them down, making it
Sorry
getting
to
burnt out.
interrupt, Jets, just to get back onto the roll. So I noticed that that Reece got on your back near the beginning, but then you escaped, right? Then you came on top, and there was quite a lot of that. Like it was very back and forth. Like Reece, so Reece got on your back, you escaped, you ended up on top, and then I think you'd get a pass, and then there was one moment where like I think you said it, like Reece had to do something there, where I think you might have put Reece in a dangerous spot, and Reece just managed in that moment just to get the sweep.
So he nearly had the Ezekiel, but I was just thinking, I'm not getting tapped by an Ezekiel. I can't like that, but it was really close. Obviously there's nothing I can do about it. I tried to bump sometimes when people are getting the Ezekiel. Obviously they've got no base, so I tried to bump, see if he would base. I tried twice to my left, I think, and it didn't. He wasn't going nowhere. So I tried to my right, and luckily enough, I managed to get the sweep. To be honest, so stroke of luck there. To be honest, it was just a bit of a bump in to try and.
You're right though. You can't, because you've got no base. It's one of them. You've got to go for it, or bail it. There's only two ways you can go with it. Do you know what I mean?
And then there was also another point where you were locking up that Kimura, and I saw, like, I think you were onto it, right? So you weren't letting Sean grip that Kimura, right?
So it's kind of a bait move, to be honest. It was a lesson Tim shown a while ago, actually, where you kind of bait the Kimura / arm lock, and with my legs. If you watch it back, I like switch my legs, and you get one foot behind the knee and then the other foot in front of the shin, and then you kick out with the foot behind the knee, and you can kind of take the back from that position. It wasn't perfect, but I still managed to take the back.
You got on the back then,
But then
when I got to that Kimura, I was like, thank fuck. This is me Kimura. And then I felt like round to the back, but then I usually turn it into a straight arm lock. But like your arm had gone back, and I was like,
I was trying to put it out, like I could feel
so he's got me back. But I've got something, but it's also like every second I could just feel his arm moving further and further away from me.
And what about the armbar on yourself?
Yeah,
how was that?
What? When was the armbar?
I'm sure you had an armbar on him.
The shotgun.
From side control.
You defended that really well, to be fair. I think you've seen it, and you turned your arm in, and I was like... With
the armbar, I never really get armbar, but it's always because of... There's a point in an armbar when you've got it, but you need to readjust it, and it's only like a very, very split second, but I always try and sort of let them feel like they're getting it in place, and then as soon as they try and readjust, just throw it off. So like if you get a bend in it, they've got to try and readjust it again. So there's this little moment of like forwards and backwards, but if you just fight it the whole time, they can readjust it, so that then by the time they get it, it's on, bang. Whereas if you let them get to the position, just before they try and readjust it by just putting a little spanner in the works, and every time I was turning it, it was just giving me a bit more of an angle to
doing that and then pushing the foot away at the same time. Like it was well defended.
And I remember there was a point where, what was it? It was something about a mount. So, oh gosh, let me think.
Wish we'd done this after every one of my rolls. You know, like sat up for 10 minutes and smoked
It's funny, you know, when you roll, isn't it? And then you look back at the stuff, you're trying to think back and you're like, it's dead vague, isn't it? Like, what are you?
I mean, you'll have the opportunity to watch it, right? Like when it's out. But what was it? There was a point. I think there was a point where Reece had the mount with you, but you gave up the back instead of being in mount.
Yeah.
So is that like you feel more comfortable?
We drill back escape loads and loads, and I feel like it's weird, sort of weird, because like teaching something so many times, only since going back to coaching, I felt like it's made me better at the basics, because to be able to explain it to someone, you've got to know it inside out, and you've got to also be able to like answer objections about it, because if you're trying to teach someone and someone goes, well, what about this, you've sort of got to know the whys to everything. So we've got a really good fundamentals course that we do, and the back escapes is a big thing, because as a beginner you end up in mount and on the back and in all these bad positions more than you end up in good positions. So we've got a really good back escape thing. And my very first competition that I'd done, I got put asleep in front of everyone. All my mates, my bird come, I was like, this is my Olympics, babe. Come and watch this. I invited my bird. I brought everyone.
Big mistake.
And, huge. As a white belt, I've been training for like 6 months, but I thought I was a fucking hot shot. And like all my mates were boxing at the time, and they were doing all the big boxing shows, so I'd done Empire, and I was like, this is my fucking arena, boys. And I invited my bird and all that, and then didn't know anything about Jiu Jitsu, my bird, I didn't have a clue. Some lad just got me, took me back, and I remember my mate had the camera, and I could just see my mate there, and I was like, don't worry, Graham, I'm not going nowhere. And I just felt like it was just getting tighter and tighter, and I was like, get my finger in. And I was like, I'm not behind this in a minute. And then I woke up. I woke up, and the referee was like shaking my legs. And I was like, I woke up and I was like, what the fuck? Woke up and I was like, right, I'm just going to get off here because this is dead embarrassing. Graham's still videoing it with his mouth wide open, just like, what's happened to you, bro? And then I remember I woke up and I was like, right, I'm just going to go now. And the fella was like, no, come back here. And then lifted the other fella's arm. I was like, why did you wake me up for this? Like, just let me sleep. And after that, long story short, after that, I ended up coming into the gym, and all I wanted to do was work my back, so I used to start rolls from the back. Yeah. So, to answer your question, I just feel like I'm better at escaping. Not like there's a technical thing to it, I just feel more confident escaping the back than I do from the mount. And he's heavy as fuck.
You escaped
heavy as fuck.
4 times then, and I think and you were defending really well as well.
At least twice,
But also when you escape the back, when you escape the back, the positions you come out of the back in are much better attack-wise than what they are. If you escape mount, maybe he's just got to side control. If you escape mount, you might get to close guard, or you might get to side control. If you escape the back, you can fuck off. You can be out of the back, you can put them back onto something. You can come out into a much more dominant position from the back than you can in mount. And he's dead heavy.
The thing mount and back is so... I'd say, I would personally say back's definitely the worst position to be in over mount out of the two. But like you say, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm interested in the back. But that's just because I think my submission... I don't know what the word is, my submission vocabulary or whatever. The amount of submissions I can get from mount is pretty minimal.
Mount is one of them positions though where like while you're in it, it's much more draining than while you're on the back. Yeah. Because back is hard. Mount you can just be squeezing people's like this energy bar down just by being in mount. Just by going to threaten things, little things, threatening stuff, or getting the arm up and then getting your arm back down. There's so much more energy being taken in that than on the back. It's harder to get to the back because look at the size of someone's neck, you've got to get that tiny bit of real estate to choke someone. And you've got 2 arms, and I've got 2 arms and a chin to defend that. So I just think in terms of like energy conservation, it's harder to get someone from the back anyway. So if I take you to that position, I'm expecting it more difficult if you're good at everything for you to finish me from the back than finish me in mount. And I'm using much less energy staying there. So if I'm sitting in mount for 2 minutes or I'm in back for 2 minutes, at least in back, I can sit up, I can be on my side. If I'm in mount, all your weight's on top of me.
Yeah, a lot of people as well, this is one thing Nath said on a few classes, well not just Nath, all the coaches to be honest, where if you ask someone to take if someone's on the back and you're going, right, how are you getting that choke now? They'll just say, well, I don't know, I'm just trying to wrestle for it. Like, and it's so true. Like, but there is a technique to isolate. Like you say, you've got 2 arms and a chin. Well, okay, let's get rid of one of them arms. Let's isolate that arm. Now you've got 1 arm and a chin, and I've got 2 arms.
That's the way to do it, is to take away their defences. That's the way to do it. But it's just, as a standard move, I just think you've got so much more range of motion. If someone's on your back, you could stand up, technically. I couldn't be on my back, but technically don't, you know what I'm saying?
Chris does it all the time, to be fair.
You could stand, if someone's on your back, you can physically stand up. If someone's got you in mount, you can't stand up.
Nah, you don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
So you were saying about rather than just hoping to get under the chin, be a bit more methodical about it, get rid of the arm, trick them with 1 arm.
It's like we were talking,
Sorry, go on.
like we were talking about before with like overdoing and like not seeing the other branches. Definitely I'm guilty of that. You get on the back and think, right, I'm going to choke him, rather than be like, okay, first of all, stay here. First of all, stay here. Right, what am I doing? I'm hand fighting, and then eventually I'm going to get the choke, turning the screw, like you were saying.
Position before submission, isn't it?
In our head, we're fighting, and that's something that takes a lot of training.
That's something that I've started
overcome.
to do, because it's when you see people who are brand new, it's like that's where everyone feels like it's a 100-metre sprint to the finish line. It's like you've got to find that finish dead quick. When there's a timer there, you can see how long left. If you've got 10 seconds left, then maybe, do you know what I mean? Let's fucking put a bit of a rush on it. But if you've got 5 minutes and you're on someone's back, you make them feel it. Do you know what I mean? I definitely felt it. So what you should be doing in every position, it's position before submission, but you should definitely be trying to make people feel what you're trying to do first, and then start taking away some of their defence, is what we've just been saying.
So the sub was rear naked choke, yeah?
Rear naked choke, yeah.
And how did you have that cinched up?
So, again, going back to, funny enough, it was a choke that I got caught with on rounds the other day, and then he showed me how he done it, and basically you go over with your choking arm and you grab the pec instead, and it's like a psychological thing. When you bring your other arm over the top, then they think that this arm is your choking arm, which it kind of is, but as soon as they start 2-on-1 in that, all you've got to do is come up. Rather than clear the arm, all you've got to do is just come up. And then that's how I sunk it.
So you got that arm under the chin, and then was it a 1 arm
naked? I think I was trying to get it tight with a 1 arm. But he was defending it really well. And then it was kind of just a wrestle where I started trying to push the back of his head at the same time, and then try and feed the arm through to the shoulder, so I got the full rear naked choke rather than the single arm naked choke in the end. But and it was tough though. I had to work for that.
Yeah, and the hooks were in, right?
I can't remember now, to be honest. Was it?
Yeah.
Body triangle.
Yeah. I think I went black because you kept turning out of it. I was like, right, you're not turning out.
Because you went put the body triangle on straight away. As soon as it gets to that position, I was trying to get out before you put it on, and that time you put it on, I was like,
So is body triangle superior to hooks?
Hooks are better for if you're struggling to get the under the chin. Hooks are better because you can stretch them out. So if you've got your chin down, if someone's like balling up, hooks are better because when you've got your hooks in, you can stretch them out, which brings the chin up. But body triangle is better for control and the position. So if it's someone like with me in that position where I'm not staying still, do you know what I mean? Then body triangle is better to be able to isolate the position to start to work. But if you get someone that's balling up, hooks are better for.
Would you use your hooks to straighten them out and then switch to a body triangle?
Ideally, what you should be doing in that position anyway, it should be fluid. You should be going to hooks, maybe to stretch them out, maybe get something under there. Then if you get it in there, then the body triangle. If they're going to move and body triangle to keep them still, it shouldn't. Nothing should really be a black and white position. Everything should be in between.
Dynamic.
Yeah. The way, because he was working on his feet because he'd already lost the back twice. So when he got it again, he went straight to the body triangle, which was the right thing to do because that's what he had to do to keep me there. And then what he was doing from there was trying to take away the arms and do the weapons. So he'd already started doing all that as we were rolling. Just subconsciously, you do it now when you're working it out, but you do it in every roll. So the third time when he got me in the back, instinctively he just went straight to the body triangle because he needed that to keep me in position. But the body triangle isn't as good sometimes if you go side to side, because if you go on the other side, it's more awkward if it's on the foot that you've hooked.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you get me in the hooks there like that works on this side, doesn't it? But then if you go to that side, you sort of need to readjust it.
You've got to be careful with that straight ankle from there as well, the body triangle.
It's one of them where when you get it, you've got to get it straight the way that you've done it and get it straight away, because what we always do, when you're defending it, is I always have the feet fight the feet and the hands fight the hands. Yeah. So if you've got the hooks there, I usually try and push that down so that you can jump over it with the hip. Whereas when some people try and start fighting that, is when you expose yourself for a choke. Yeah. So we always do feet fight the feet and hands fight the hands. So you should always have two simultaneous battles going on. You should always never try and fight the hands with your feet or the other way around. You should always be defending yourself and then using your feet to fight the feet. All four of your limbs should be doing something at all times.
One of the early things that I tend to do is if someone gets my back, I'll reach down with my feet and kind of see where their feet are, because people make that fundamental mistake of crossing the feet, or if they're trying to get a body triangle, they don't
it's
cross
just instinctively to hold it, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can get that lock straight away and you can put danger and pressure on their feet, and then sometimes people panic on that, and then you can start getting out that back position, and then you might get a bit of movement.
See, I think that's a position where I think early on as a white belt, it's something you're told, don't cross your feet when you're on the back because you're going to get straight ankled. But I think as you start becoming more aware of where your feet are when you're on someone's back, you can then also be reactive to what they're going to do. So if you see him go for that straight ankle, you just you know, and then so I think you can use it for a bit of control. Like for me, I've got really long legs, I've got really long shins, so I find it a bit easier to do that sometimes, but I've just got to make sure that I'm aware I'm not going to get straight ankled.
In the thick of it as well, sometimes if you can move your position, you can turn what is almost like a body triangle down to something where it's then in a position for you still being in the back position, but to attack their feet again. If you can manage to move yourself up and down, something that is an advantage to them can become a disadvantage for them as well.
One of the things as well is you've got to try and turn your feet into hands. That was one of the things that I didn't realise until like a couple of years in. Like you've got to, your feet can't just be this separate thing that are just like these fucking two idiots at the bottom of your legs, just like like you've got to make them like so that if you've got someone in the back, you can use your toe to get underneath their wrist, and you should be trying to make your feet like hands. So if you're just trying to move someone's feet or grab the foot, you can do similar things to what you can do with your hands to pin it in place and get something under it. I think that's what a lot of people neglect until you start doing leg locks, that they realise that you should be trying to put the same sort of nerve endings in your feet as what you've got in your hands, and the same sort of sensitivity, so they can be used like four separate limbs. It's not just like hands 100%. And legs. It should just be that you should.
It's funny you say that. I read something.
Isolate them separately.
Just yesterday, I think, and it was basically saying the same thing. And it was to do with guard passing, and it was like if you can stop someone passing your guard with no arms, or if you can just use your legs to train jiu-jitsu, and then you'll be one hell of a dangerous jiu-jitsu player. Like, so.
I do with one of my kids. He just started doing jiu-jitsu now, and sometimes he tries to come at me, and I just like see whether I can just keep him off with my legs, and I'll just push him away, little butterfly sweep over that way, kick his foot away. It's just trying to use your feet for the same sort of things, so that then when you're in that position, you've got so much more dexterity.
All right, gents, I think we're going to round it up. I've got one more question. So, rematch is on the cards?
Yeah,
absolutely.
We need to see that rematch. Like,
I'm getting on the fucking juice this time.
Thank you, Mum.
And I mean, like, I love it. An upset on the show. It's fucking.
I wasn't expecting it, to be honest, either.
Well, you had an original upset on the show. Don't do yourself a disservice.
Go on. I won against Josh
a week before your blue belt, so
a week before
something like that.
So. Yeah, I was a white belt. She was a blue belt.
How much did we pay you to say that? I dropped it in at the very end of the episode.
Yes.
How convenient.
Just trying to make you feel better.
How convenient.
That was episode 4, I think.
Was it?
Episode 3. Yeah, so check that one out, guys. All right, thanks so much for coming on, everyone, and we'll have you all on again for all the rematches. I want to say thank you to Sean for letting us use the space. Thanks a lot. Thanks to Resilience Gym and Sean again for the skills, right? Thanks to Trident Martial Arts Gym for the skills. Thanks to RGA Chester for the skills. And then thank you to Matt for being our wonderful producer behind the scenes. A wonderful producer. And thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Future guests will include Gordon Ryan, Tyson Fury, Leon Edwards, Michael Bisping,
Mr. Motivator.
Mr. Motivator. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Let's call it.
Yeah,
Thanks, Greg.
Cheers.
Yes, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Nice one, mate. Thanks, Sean.
We didn't get that round, but next time. I don't know if I want to now. I don't know if I want to handle it.